Welcome to the Life Makeovers podcast. My name is Cindy D. Whitmer, and I am the Midlife Makeover Coach, helping you turn your midlife into your best life, one step at a time. Through powerful conversations, my own midlife roller coaster story, and over 3 decades of helping people transform their lives through counseling and coaching, I am on a mission to help you create your own definition of success and happiness. Thank you for being here. So today is our lucky day because we have with us today Jessi Payne. And Jessi and I, Jessi, thank you for being here. We met, 4 years ago, I think it was, when we were both in a coaching program together, right?
That's true. We were in a master coaching program and we met on the beaches of Laguna Beach.
And that was a great place to meet, I gotta say.
It doesn't get better than that. If you're going to be lifelong friends with someone, you might as well meet on the beach.
You might as well start on the beach. Exactly. And honestly, one of the most beautiful beaches in the world, if I do say so myself. But yeah, we bonded easily because I, at least in my opinion, because we both believe in our own growth and we love to help others with their personal development as well. And we love to talk about love. But before we dive into that, tell us a little bit more about you. What do you want our listeners to know?
Thank you. Well, I was a probation officer for 10 years. That's where my first journey began. And then I became certified as a transformation coach while I was an officer, thinking that would be a helpful strategy to help people get it together. And it was.
I bet it did. That is an interesting combo, really.
It was. It gave me a lot of hands-on experience dealing with coaching very difficult personalities and all different ranges of personal problems, different diversity, different socioeconomic backgrounds, cultural, just so many different dynamics. So it gave me like a master's degree basically in coaching. And so eventually I decided I was burnt out just dealing with all the bureaucracy that was there and everything. And so I transitioned full-time as a life coach, and that's been 15 years ago.
Wow.
And so since that time, I have written over 10 books, and my biggest current achievement is my daughter, my 6-year-old daughter, Libby, who is
little Libby.
She will be the greatest gift I leave the planet. Is not all these years of service. It will be that beautiful little life who gets to light up this world. So that brings me to today.
Beautiful. Well, yes, Libby is a doll, and I'm sure she's just growing up amazingly. Jessi lives halfway across the country, and so we don't get to see each other in person very often. But a few years ago, we spent several days together besides the beach conference or workshop or whatever we were at, or mastermind weekend. I went out to Sacramento, and we had a good old time for several days. And I think we look back on that fondly.
It was wonderful. It was wonderful to connect with you and to be. We have so much in common, deep spiritual roots, and this passion for people and self-improvement and love, clearly, and motherhood, just these really beautiful, these beautiful concepts. And so I very much, that time was very rich for me.
Me too. Well, we value a lot of the same things. And it was a great time. So thanks for staying in touch, and thank you so much for being here today. And it's February, and we're talking about love, healthy love. How about let's have a shout out for healthy love. So what's the bottom line, do you think, about how people can create healthy relationships in their lives with other people?
I believe that the healthiest, best relationships first start with yourself. And it can be romantic relationships with your kids, your spouse, your significant other, business relationships. But if you're able to have a confidence in who you are and like who you are. There's self-love, but I think it's even more important to have self-like, where you actually like wake up, look yourself in the eye, and you get to live the gift of being you, right? It's like you start and you're like, all right, I get to spend time with me again today, doing whatever we're doing, you know? And it's very attractive. It's a very attractive thing. And then you're able to bring the gift of being you anywhere you go. So I think that's the bottom line.
I think so too. I think confidence is very attractive. Yeah, I think it's very attractive. People are a magnet for the energy they bring to the room, whatever that energy is, right?
Yes,
No matter what
absolutely.
the energy is. So if you want to surround yourself out there with people who are loving and excited to be alive and open-minded and excited to grow, then we must show up that way. And then there they'll be, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. When it comes to love, I am someone who has been through a lot of relationships. I've been through 2 marriages, I've been engaged 4 or 5 times. I mean, I go
Wow.
through relationships more often than you would think. And it's not entirely because I'm a train wreck. It's mostly because I'm constantly working on improving myself. And it's hard sometimes for my partners to keep my pace.
Yeah,
Or
well, that's just it. We evolve as people,
Mhm.
and sometimes people want to evolve as well, and sometimes they don't, or they're evolving in a different space or way. And yeah, and we feel it when we know someone's on a different plane or path than we are. And but gosh, don't you think every one of those relationships served you and you served them well?
Every single one. I am
Yeah.
so grateful for every
Yeah.
relationship that ended.
Yeah.
Every relationship that just whatever period of time it served in my life was so important. Each
Yeah.
one has this vital lesson in it. And
Yeah.
ultimately, yeah, ultimately, even my daughter and her dad, but we have a very peaceful, civil co-parenting relationship. And without him, right, even though I could be super upset and frustrated and resentful that he wasn't who I thought he was, or whatever the story
Right.
was,
Right.
but
Right.
without him, I wouldn't have her.
Oh my gosh.
So would I
That's
do it all again? Well, yeah, I would. You know?
Yes, I feel the same way. I was married 22 years to my biological children's father,
Mhm.
and I wouldn't trade that for anything. Not
Right.
for anything, even though I divorced this man. Like I divorced him, I left.
Mhm.
And but wow, I mean, not just the two of them, but there were so many good things, and yet you can also reach a crossroads where this cannot, we're not going down a healthy path.
Definitely.
So love is interesting. You can love people a lot, deeply, and for a long time, or for a short time very deeply, and then know the two souls have got to part. And I think that's what you're saying, is that
Mhm.
when the signs are there and it's time to go. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes we hang on a little too long. Because
oh
we're scared of
boy.
the unknown, or scared we won't find love again, or there's kind of these deep-seated fears or feelings of a lack of worth. There's some limiting beliefs maybe to face as well. And sometimes even the comfort of being able to
Yes.
anticipate, even if it's not good, people
Right.
will stay in it, as opposed to seeing what's on the other side, even though sometimes it'll be way better.
Yeah, there is. I agree. I hear that all the time with people in midlife too. They've invested decades in their
Mhm.
relationships, often their romantic based relationships, whether they're partnered, they're married, whatever it is, and it's such a long-term investment. They don't want to break it, even though, or they're scared to break it, even though they're not happy. They're dying inside in some ways. And so it's also the belief system, right? That, oh, I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't break up this. When you get married, you should not divorce, or I've been with them so long, I don't know what else I would do, you know?
Absolutely.
How,
There are these expectations to live up to, and disappointments, and all the family and the friends who were there on the day you promised the world to each other, and have
Yes.
stood by and tried to support, and memories and these interweavings that we carry a lot of guilt.
Yeah.
Ending things at times.
That can surely be part of it, can't it? Yes, that's part of the healing work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And one of the ways to let love in again is to first heal some of those wounds and some of those really tough feelings, and examine the belief system and so forth. But you have this wonderful acronym,
I do. Yeah.
Lucky.
Getting
Lucky,
lucky in love.
lucky and love, right? So should we go through that? So everybody
Sure.
gets your pencils or pens out or
Absolutely.
whatever.
Absolutely.
Because Jessi has this wonderful acronym, Lucky. So
Yeah.
tell me what, let's start with L. What's it stand for?
Like yourself. We already talked about it briefly.
Like yourself.
Yeah, like yourself. Love yourself is, getting dressed, taking your shower, working on your health, right? That's self-love, self-care, that kind of thing. But self-like, and two activities I do with clients when I'm working on their confidence building and working on that self-like. This is a big challenge exercise, but I challenge them to write 100 things that are awesome about being them.
About being men?
About being them.
About being them.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying.
Okay, I'm writing this down. Keep talking.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to do anyway. It's something that I do regularly just to, I'm always like to practice what it is I'm doing. So that's the first thing I do, because it's like, oh, I like animals. I'm a great hugger. I'm a good mom. I'm a good cook. I like to dance. I like to sing. I like to garden. I like flowers, right? Eventually you start putting together this big long list, and then you want to keep it somewhere that you see it regularly, because then it kind of imprints, and you have a lot of reasons to feel confident in who you are and grateful for being you, because there's nobody else like us.
Oh yeah, no kidding. We must celebrate our uniqueness, right? There's just nobody else like us. And I say to people all the time, too, especially when they're thinking about, dating again after love has been lost one way or the other or whatever, is I'll say, get into the point where you're enjoying the good company of yourself first.
Yes.
Then go look for companionship. Then go get social, but enjoy yourself, like being with yourself. Because if you can't handle hanging out with yourself, why would anybody else want to?
Exactly. Take yourself out on dates.
Yes.
Help lots of clients get married and have these great relationships, but that's where it starts, that first 100 thing list. And then the second thing is I have them write a list of 30 dreams and goals, because if you are going to find a partner, you want things in common. And there's 2 rules with the 30 dreams and goals.
Okay.
Imagine you have all the money in the world, you have all the time in the world. So you're not constricted by time and money. What are 30 experiences that would make your life so worthwhile to have, that it just lights you up from the inside out? And if you go through that list and you star maybe 5 that are like, that almost bring tears to your eyes because you want them so bad, it gives you this beautiful inner compass of like, these are the things I'm working toward. And ultimately you want to partner yourself with somebody who shares those values and those ideas, or at least the vision.
Nice. Well, and really articulating those dreams and goals to ourselves adds to that self-like love vision as well, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It certainly does.
Well, let's move on to you. U stands for
unleash yourself to the world.
Ooh, what does this mean?
It means opening your heart to the possibility that good things can happen. Sometimes we hold this like a restriction. We hold ourselves in, we're afraid that we're going to get hurt again. It's like, well, no one will love me. because of this, that, or, nobody wants this. We have this negative self-talk, these things that just kind of go around and around and around. But if we actually allow ourselves to lower our defenses and open up our heart to the possibility that something amazing can happen for us, there's no way it won't. Like, there's no way it won't.
Believe in it first, don't you? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I agree. Yes. And visualizing it in your mind, like having a picture in your mind, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I do dozens of exercises to try to help, even something as simple as like, it would be amazing if a cup of coffee showed up, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's amazing, the cup of coffee, right? So if you're able to like try these little tools, and then you can like, okay, I'm going to open my heart to the possibility, the true possibility that I could be, that I could be loved, or that I can experience love again, or whatever that aspect is. But just opening, unleashing yourself to the world, this beautiful version of you that you like so much now, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Woo, this is exciting. Just thinking about.
It
Okay.
is so
Then
fun.
the letter C is
Create space. Create the space for the relationship that you want.
And how do you do that? What do you mean by that? You mean physical space or time in your calendar?
All of it.
Space in your heart? Like
all of it. Yeah. Mind, body, spirit, in your house, clear out a drawer in your dresser for just that person's things, or some room in your medicine cabinet, a little drawer in the bathroom for them. Sleep on one half of your bed. There's some things you can do to just be calling in the space. But also people will talk about, oh, I'm too busy. I'm so busy. I'm this, I'm that. Oh, I don't have time to meet anyone.
I have a full life.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, how is anyone
be alone either, right? So
how is this perfect companion for you possibly going to fit without creating the space?
Yeah, I remember learning when I got divorced too, something about like, because I listened to a lot of dating coaches and things, and because I didn't know how to date. I mean, it'd been forever, and the online thing was all new, and the whole thing. And I'm a leader in my own life, and I got it all going on. I run the business, I ran the kids, I run the this, I ran the that. I had it all together, right? And I learned a little bit about I needed to dial it down a little bit, and not to act like I didn't have it all together, but kind of find that place where I could be a little vulnerable too. Like I could allow myself to receive, because when you got it all together, you got it all going on, and you're doing all the things, no one feels like they can come in and offer anything to you, because you've already got it all. You got it, check.
It's so rigid.
That's part of what you're talking about, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Entering into the flow of things. Yeah. Where you're like, I mean, it's kind of like a divine feminine thing, but like inviting and nurturing and not so action oriented, which is very difficult as a single mom, right? Because you have a billion things to do. As a business owner, there's a billion things to do. There's no shortage, always something that needs to be done. And having those boundaries and allowing yourself still to have like some of the softness that is desirable. It's quite the blend, it's quite the blend. But that's why K is so important, which is keep positive feelings flowing. You have to keep positive things that light you up, and keeping the faith in, just the romance in the world. Having a playlist where you just get lost in it, and you get lost in the vibration of the feelings, and you just find yourself just kind of smiling to yourself because there's a little hope there.
Yeah, I would watch some of those, kind of sappy romantic movies that, it always works out in the end, and they're kind of cheesy, but yet it would like, give me that warm, love is out there. Love does exist. People do find each other, or, it just really, it did. It gave me faith and love and in people again. And
the Hallmark movies, the Hallmark holiday movies are just, they're cheap and easy,
Yeah, we're not.
if you're really scrambling for like, how can I like just generate a little bit of faith here? Just get lost in one of those.
Yeah. Yeah, cheap and easy. We are not, Jessi and I are not cheap and easy, but we're
No, not at all. Yeah, we're priceless. Right?
Okay, what about the letter Y? What in the word lucky? What is Y all about?
Why is you find love? Because even if you find it, but it's in yourself and you're having that relationship with yourself, even that, it's like love has been found and the prize has been won. But more often than not, you wind up in a great relationship if that's what you're looking for, or surrounded by a community of friends that light you up. And yeah, and many of my clients even married, several of them, like 10 couples probably, right? Start to finish, single and then still happily married even years later. So wonderful.
So exciting. Yeah, it's really, I was just talking to a client this morning about who's, kind of lonely for herself. Like she needs to fall in love with herself, I think, and fall in like with herself, as you said. And I find that a lot in people in midlife. And I went through that too, where I was just lost, couldn't find myself, didn't know who I was anymore, that whole thing.
Yeah.
And so when you find that love within, and then you really let it go, you unleash yourself and all that, like you're saying, oh my gosh, that's a great life right there. And then if you want companionship, or like you said, you want a wide circle of friends, or you want meaningful connections, whatever it is, then you're opening yourself to it and you will draw that toward you. So
Absolutely.
yeah. Ooh, I love it. I love all this. Wow. So
Yeah.
lucky. Love yourself, release yourself, create space, keep the faith, and you will find love. Woo!
So simple. It's always so simple. And then it's harder when you put it into practice, but easy to remember. Easy to remember.
Practical how you've laid it out. Is there anything else you want to say about all things love, finding love for self, like for self, and creating healthy relationships with other people?
Love is so powerful. And I believe that the other most helpful component to love in general is forgiveness. And we're quick to try to forgive others for things, but even there's that aspect of forgiving ourselves.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We're so wickedly hard on ourselves.
Oh, so hard.
For being so stupid for so long, like the things that,
yes,
the rabbit hole of terrible things we say to ourselves.
Yeah, the spiral that we can, I mean, oh my gosh, yeah. So many women I find, especially in midlife, they start to look back. And then they're beating themselves up for things they did in their 20s, or what they didn't do in their 30s, or how they got it wrong at the office, or what they screwed up personally, and it's just like, you cannot keep beating yourself up about the past and live in the present and look forward to the future. It's like, you can't.
Right.
You gotta be let go. It's like,
yeah. Well, and you always ask, I know you often ask the friends that you interview, on your show, you ask, well, what did you think it would be like? What did you think life would be like? And I feel like the contrasts are so very different, right? Like I never would have pictured, I'm like, oh, I'm going to be a single mom in my mid 40s, again, like
never on the list. It's never on the list. Right?
Yeah,
never is on the list, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I think we can reflect back on that earlier time thinking, man, if only I had done this, if only I had done this, but but that forgiveness piece, because we have this unrealistic expectation, just like everybody who's like, oh, well, you're supposed to stay married forever. and wonderful if you do, right? Wonderful if you can, but we have these
all of you out there doing that in a healthy, happy way. I couldn't respect that more.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
And, right, you were saying.
Yeah. And the self-forgiveness piece for not being perfect, because we hold ourselves to these unrealistic perfectionistic expectations, and they're completely unreasonable. We're not here to be perfect. There's no way we can be perfect. We're here, the whole experience will be imperfect. And just having grace for ourselves. And only then can we possibly find it in others, and maybe find that peace and that gratitude and that forgiveness for people who wronged us, right? Or relationships that fell through, and help us work through the anger and the grief of all that. So that self-forgiveness piece is really important. So that's the other thing I would say about like love and the importance of love.
Yeah.
Here's that
Yeah,
through.
because when forgiveness is present, it's a game changer every time.
Mhm.
Every time. I talk about having radically healthy relationships, and one of the qualities is instant forgiveness, like instant. If you can just drop in forgiveness immediately, it is a game changer. Because usually what we humans do, is we belabor something, we drag it out, we don't say anything, and then we try to say something, or then we explode because we've held something in too long, or whatever, and then it's just like, oh my gosh, the time and energy wasted. When we could just snap our fingers and go, you know what, you were doing the best you could, I was doing the best I could, let's move forward, shall we?
Absolutely.
Whatever form that needs to take. But yeah, I'm glad you brought up forgiveness.
Thank you. Thank
Oh,
you. The way that you put that too is so mature, right? There's a level of beautiful maturity and groundedness that you bring to all of your coaching and your friendships and to all the things that you teach. And I appreciate you so much for that. You're a beautiful mentor, and you are such a lovely woman and friend and a guide for all of us that navigate different things in life. I'm very grateful for you.
Well, thank you so much. Well, I couldn't be more grateful for you. And I'm so thankful for this conversation. I think it's been so interesting. And so I love the practicality of remembering those 5 things. So I really appreciate you bringing that to the table today. If people want to find you, you are on Instagram. You're an Instagram girl, right? At joyful, F-U-L-L, Jessi. Jessi. We'll put it in the notes, everybody. But go find Joyful Jessi on Instagram. And thank you again so much for being here. You're just a doll. I love you. And
I love you too.
I'll talk to you again soon. Thank you so much for listening. How would you like to receive my #1 best-selling book, The Midlife Makeover Method? All you have to do is leave a review for this podcast, take a snapshot of it, and send it to cindy@cindydwhitmer.com. We'll drop the email address in the details, and I will talk to you again soon. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.